In the Age of Heroes, the world itself began to groan under the weight of humanity. Once the land was wild and free, its mountains echoing only with the calls of birds and the rush of wind. But as mortals multiplied, their ambitions grew, and the earth's ancient silence was shattered by the clamor of civilization. Forests fell to axes, rivers ran red with the spoils of war, and the sky darkened with the smoke of countless fires. Gaia, the primordial earth, felt the strain of sprawling cities and endless wars. Her once untouched body was now scarred by the ambitions of mortals, her forests razed, her fields trampled, her rivers poisoned by the relentless march of progress. The world's beauty, once sacred and eternal, seemed to fade beneath the weight of human desire. She carried her sorrow to Mount Olympus, pleading with Zeus to ease her suffering. With every step, the weight of the world pressed upon her shoulders, her voice trembling with the pain of a mother watching her children destroy the home she had given them. Gaia begged not for annihilation, but for balance, a way to lighten her burden. She did not wish to see her children perish, but to restore harmony between mortals and the earth. Her plea was a prayer for mercy, for wisdom, for a future where life could flourish once more. Zeus listened, recognizing the truth in her words. The world was teeming, chaotic, and unsustainable. Even the king of gods could not ignore the signs. The land buckling under the weight of armies, the air thick with the cries of the suffering, the balance of nature tipping dangerously toward ruin. The age of heroes, glorious yet destructive, threatened the very earth. Their quests and rivalries, their hunger for fame and immortality, left scars that would take centuries to heal. The world's legends were being written in blood and ash. A simple plague or flood would be too crude for Zeus. He sought a solution worthy of legend. He pondered the fate of mortals, weighing justice against compassion, destruction against renewal. The answer, he knew, must be as profound as the problem itself. He envisioned a cataclysm that would be remembered for all time, not a mindless act of vengeance, but a trial, a crucible through which mortals might prove their worth, and the world might be reborn. Rather than erase mortals, he would give them a stage for their greatest glories and deepest sorrows. Through struggle and sacrifice, they would learn humility and respect for the earth. Their stories would echo through the ages, a testament to both their folly and their courage. In doing so, he would grant Gaia the relief she desperately sought. The world would be cleansed not by destruction alone but by the hope of renewal, a chance for balance to be restored, for harmony to return. Thus, a plan of tragic beauty began to form in the mind of the king of gods, a plan that would test the hearts of mortals and the patience of the earth, and shape the destiny of the world for generations to come. High atop the mist-shrouded peaks of Mount Olympus, Zeus, the king of gods and master strategist, gazed down upon the world of mortals. He pondered a conflict, not out of malice, but with a purpose that only a god could conceive. A war that would reshape the fate of both men and gods. This war, Zeus imagined, would consume the greatest heroes of the age, drawing them from their homes and leaving once thriving cities eerily silent, their streets littered with the remnants of armor and the echoes of lost glory. The world would be forever changed as the finest warriors marched off to meet their destinies. His gaze settled on two mighty powers, Greece and Troy. Both were proud, prosperous, and brimming with ambition. Their rivalry, Zeus knew, could be stoked into a fire that would burn across the world, drawing in kings, princes, and commoners alike. The war he envisioned would not be a brief skirmish, but a long, brutal, and glorious struggle. It would ensnare the best of a generation, testing their courage, loyalty, and cunning. Legends would be born on blood-soaked fields, and the names of heroes would echo through eternity. Yet for such a monumental conflict to ignite, it needed a spark, a powerful catalyst that would unite the often feuding Greek kingdoms and send their greatest warriors across the wine-dark sea to Troy. Without a cause, even the bravest would hesitate to leave their homes and families behind. That spark would be found in the tangled web of love, betrayal, and stolen beauty. Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world, would become the face that launched 1,000 ships. Her abduction would ignite passions and rivalries, setting the stage for a war that would be remembered for millennia. Zeus, ever the cunning orchestrator, would not command the armies himself. Instead, he would set the stage, manipulating fate and allowing mortal passions, love, pride, vengeance, to drive the conflict forward. The gods would watch, intervene, and scheme, but it would be mortals who paid the price. The Trojan War, conceived in the mind of a god, was not merely a contest of strength. it was a means to thin the swelling ranks of humanity, to grant Gaia, the earth herself, a measure of peace from the burdens of mankind. The cost would be measured in blood and sorrow. The plains of Troy would become a vast graveyard, the final resting place for a generation of heroes whose deeds would be sung by poets for centuries. Their sacrifices would echo through time, shaping the destiny of nations and the hearts of those who came after. And so, as the first pieces of Zeus's cosmic game moved into place, the world held its breath. The stage was set, the players assembled, and the greatest war of the ancient world was about to begin. To ignite his plan, Zeus needed chaos, so he turned to Eris, goddess of discord. Eris thrived on rivalry and resentment, the perfect spark for conflict. Ares, god of war, would fan the flames, ensuring the struggle was as bloody and protracted as possible. Eris would sow a quarrel rooted in vanity and pride, a problem even Zeus would refuse to solve. The conflict would begin with the gods, but play out among mortals. Ares would revel in the violence, urging heroes to ever greater acts of savagery. The combination of Eris's cunning and Ares's brutality was the perfect formula for the war Zeus desired. The fuse was lit. The explosion would be legendary. At the heart of the unfolding drama was Thetis, a sea goddess of extraordinary beauty. Both Zeus and Poseidon desired her, sparking a rivalry that threatened the harmony of Olympus. Thetis, caught between two powerful gods, navigated the treacherous currents of divine politics. Her beauty became a source of potential conflict, a prize that could set brother against brother. The rivalry grew so intense that a cosmic war seemed inevitable. But fate intervened. A prophecy would soon change everything. The dispute over Thetis was not just a matter of love, but a turning point for gods and mortals alike. The resolution would forge a link to the fate of a human hero and the genesis of the Trojan War. As the rivalry peaked, a prophecy emerged. Any son born to Thetis would surpass his father. This warning echoed the cycle of sons overthrowing fathers. Uranus, Cronus, Zeus. For Zeus and Poseidon the risk was too great. Neither would dare father a child with Thetis. The prophecy ended their rivalry instantly. Thetis, once coveted, became untouchable. Zeus acted swiftly. Thetis must marry a mortal, neutralizing the threat to the gods. A son born of a mortal would be great but never challenge Olympus. This decision fit perfectly into Zeus's larger plan. The son of Thetis would be a key player in the war to come. The stage was set for a mortal hero's rise. With the gods out of the picture, a mortal husband was sought for Thetis. The choice fell on Peleus, king of Phthia, grandson of Zeus, and a hero tested by fate. Peleus's life was marked by exile, tragedy, and redemption. He had killed his half-brother, been banished and purified by kings. He joined the Argonauts and survived betrayal and false accusations. Even when left for dead by King Acastus, Peleus was saved by the wise centaur Chiron. Through all trials, Peleus proved his resilience and nobility. It was this man, tested and worthy, whom the gods chose for Thetis. The union would shape the fate of mortals and gods alike. Marrying a goddess was no simple feat. Thetis resisted marriage to a mortal, but Peleus was undeterred. Following Chiron's advice, Peleus ambushed Thetis in her grotto. She transformed fire, water, lion, serpent, yet Peleus held fast. His endurance was unbreakable, his will unwavering. At last, exhausted, Thetis surrendered and accepted her fate. Peleus had proven himself worthy of a goddess. Their union would lead to the most famous wedding in myth. The birth of their prophesied son was now inevitable. The stage was set for destiny to unfold. The wedding of Peleus and Thetis was a celebration of gods and mortals on Mount Pelion. All the Olympians attended, bearing magnificent gifts for the couple. Poseidon gave immortal horses, Hephaestus unbreakable armor, Chiron a mighty spear. The atmosphere was one of joy and cosmic harmony, yet one goddess was deliberately not invited, Eris, goddess of discord. The organizers feared her presence would bring strife, but to snub discord is to invite chaos. This single omission would unravel all the harmony and set fate in motion. In the heart of ancient Greece, a grand celebration was underway, a wedding feast for Peleus and Thetis, attended by gods and mortals alike. Yet, not all were welcome. Furious at her exclusion, Eris, the goddess of strife and discord, arrived in secret, her eyes burning with resentment. In her hand she clutched a golden apple gleaming with an otherworldly light, inscribed with the words, "For the fairest." This was no ordinary gift but a calculated act of vengeance. With a sly smile, Eris rolled the apple into the midst of the lavish feast, letting it come to rest among the gods. Instantly, three of the most powerful goddesses, Hera, queen of the gods, Athena, goddess of wisdom and war, and Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty, each laid claim to the prize, convinced that she alone was the fairest. Their argument erupted into a fierce and passionate dispute, echoing through the marble halls and threatening to shatter the fragile peace of Olympus. The other gods watched in uneasy silence, aware that this quarrel could have dire consequences for both mortals and immortals. Desperate for resolution, the three goddesses turned to Zeus, king of the gods, and demanded he choose the fairest among them. But Zeus, wise and wary, knew that to favor one would earn the wrath of the others. He refused to judge, unwilling to risk the harmony of Olympus for the sake of vanity. Instead, Zeus devised a cunning solution. He declared that a mortal would decide the matter, a young prince named Paris, son of King Priam of Troy, who lived a quiet life tending sheep on the slopes of Mount Ida, far from the intrigues of the gods. The golden apple, once a symbol of divine beauty, now became a token of fate, passed from the hands of the gods to a mortal. This simple act set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of history, as Paris prepared to judge the goddesses in what would become known as the Judgment of Paris. Each goddess, desperate to win, offered Paris tempting bribes. But it was Aphrodite's promise, the love of the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Sparta, that swayed his heart. Paris's choice would not only seal his own fate, but also ignite a passion and fury that would lead to Helen's abduction. The abduction of Helen, wife of King Menelaus, would spark outrage across Greece. Kings and heroes rallied their armies, launching 1,000 ships across the wine-dark sea to reclaim her. And so began the legendary Trojan War, a conflict destined to echo through the ages. The joy and laughter of the wedding feast faded into memory, replaced by the shadow of war and the sorrow of what was lost. The consequences of Eris's spiteful act were only just beginning to unfold. High above, Zeus watched the world below, his plan to lighten the earth's burden now set in motion. The gods, too, would be drawn into the conflict, their rivalries and alliances shaping the fate of mortals. The world stood on the brink of transformation. The seeds of discord had been sown, and nothing would ever be the same again.